Good morning, everyone, or afternoon or evening, depending on where you are. This is Alee Attoe on my little Facebook Live show here called Your Connection to Source. I'm a coach and instructor with BestLife Creation Society. And I just feel so lucky and so blessed. I just came back from an Abraham Hicks conference and our incredible Best Life event, Align and Shine in Denver, Colorado. And it was amazing, guys. It was I feel like I don't even have the words. Um, the Abraham Hicks event was like if you're someone, you're an Aber or an Abrahammer and you listen to Abraham Hicks, it is very well worth it to see them in person. The energy was just amazing, and one of those things where um, it's like there's seeds being planted and things that are germinating just from the energy of Abraham and Esther Hicks and the energy of all those people there who are seeking and looking for a deeper connection with their source and looking to expand their lives. Um, yeah, it was just wonderful. And I want to talk a little bit today about one of the things that was one of the main themes at this event, and then how we kind of even brought that into our beautiful Align and Shine event as well. And it's this idea that, you know, when we are in a state of daydreaming, that we actually are leveraging the power of our feel good emotions, and we're leveraging the universe to help our dreams come in an even more beautiful, more perfect, sometimes faster way. And I just was so impacted by this, and thinking back to a lot of people in social justice, or a lot of people who've built really big companies. Think of like Martin Luther King Jr. with his dream for civil rights and equality, and the same for Gandhi, um, Nelson Mandela. Like, they had a dream that they kept going back to. This dream of this beautiful, well thought out, well felt image. Something they could close their eyes and connect. I am making some assumptions here. I get that. But if you think about it, like, a lot of the big innovators in our time, whether it was in social justice, whether it was business, like Elon Musk, Richard Branson, Oprah, these are people who, one of the things they'll tell you are all the things that Abraham was telling us, that they had a dream that they would meditate on, that they would let soak into their skin, and they would let that dream become more of a reality than what they were feeling, tasting, and touching on a day-to-day basis. And my belief is that they really tapped into that creative leveraging power with their source to help actually feel the feelings of that dream before it was accomplished, and in so doing that, projecting those feelings out into our beautiful law of attraction universe. And the universe had I want to say no choice, but the way the law works is that whatever you're putting out now, that feeling, that comes back to you. And just feeling like, that bringing home of the importance of dreaming, of daydreaming, of feeling good, of figuring out what you want. Hi, Jen. Hi, Chris. And hi, Scott. Nice to see you guys. So it's interesting too, because we often tell little kids not to daydream, get back to reality. Like, we might chastise ourselves a little bit if we're not doing the practical things, and daydreaming instead. But I was just so much more fully convinced of the power of taking that time to get in a feel good space. Like if you know there's something that you want, to allow yourself to start first thinking like, oh, how wouldn't it be nice if dot dot dot, or oh, it just feels so good if. And when you have that image or that feeling or that dream come up for you, that then you can kind of start feeling that out with source. Like you can start in a very general sense, like, oh, it just feels really good to it just feels so good to have a little more financial freedom in my life, for instance. And then maybe as you're kind of meditating on that and how good it would feel, you're thinking that thought consciously. What you might start to feel happen is that then source might come in, God, source, creator, higher power. You might feel that dream starting to expand, where it's now shifted from something that you're consciously thinking and feeling to almost more like a movie unfolding in front of you, where now you're seeing and imagining all these things happening. You know, this particular example with financial freedom, you might be, oh my gosh, and then you might see some of the things coming into your life. You might see some of the ways that you make money. You might see some of the things you're able to buy, and all accompanied by that feeling of freedom and abundance and more and more and more. And this is how you kind of move out of a space of you thinking a thought about what you want and actually receiving a thought that comes from God, that comes from your source. And then the both of you participating in this beautiful, beautiful dream. Now, what's so cool about this? Oh, hi, Sergio and Tinica. Nice to see you guys. And I'll just see what Jen says really quick. Oh, Chris says, yay, I love daydreaming and manifesting. Jen says, the key with daydreaming is to allow and receive it, pushing or trying to stretch it beyond what it is, or dissatisfied with what it is, creates resistance that blocks it from coming. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Francisco. It's so true. So let's say that you're in this space and you're like, oh yeah, I can just feel like, oh, my just such sense of ease and freedom, and it all feels really good. And then maybe your mind starts being really practical and starts thinking like, oh, but it's, people who have so much more money have to pay so much more taxes. And you can feel that like a little bit of a drop in that free flowing feeling. So that's where, like, you don't want to be daydreaming about that kind of stuff, because you don't want to bring in hardship, or because this is supposed to be fun. Daydreaming is supposed to be fun and expansive and feel good. So let's say you're daydreaming and you start having thoughts that are contrary to the feeling that you want, right? It's not a big deal. It's not, again, anything to freak out about. You just either can say, thank you, mind. I'm just going to let source work all that out. I'm going to release that like bit of dissatisfaction back to the source. And if you can, flow back into the daydream, flow back into abundance, flow back into feeling good. But you know what? If it's like you can't, if you feel like, oh, I can't quite flow back in there, or maybe you're just done for now, then don't worry about it. Just acknowledge this wonderful experience you had, give it up to the universe, and flow into something else that feels good to you, which at that point in time might be going on a walk, or, getting dressed for work, or, getting a beautiful cup of coffee, whatever it is. So the point is that in the daydream, there is no push, there is no rush. There is just contentment, satisfaction, and above. And that's kind of how we know we're in this beautiful, expansive place with the universe. And what is so cool about this is, if we allow ourselves to dream, we allow ourselves with the universe, maybe to go places in our imagination or in our dreams that our minds would not have allowed us to go, right? We maybe would not have given ourselves permission to go there. So in that space of I'm not going to daydream, I'm just going to kind of think about what I want. We can't expand as far, and we create a little bit of resistance around what we actually really could have, what we really could be, um, and what we even really could do. So, what a big thing that I found after this weekend is shortly after, I guess it was the next morning, at our Align and Shine event, our wonderful Norwegian Espen led us in this meditation. And I really allowed myself to let source take me on like a journey. Like I knew something that I wanted. There's something that I've known that I want for a while. And I'd say my vision for it was like this big. And that's a place where I would go and be like, oh, wouldn't it be nice? You know, and it's like has to do with like a property and some of the things I'd want on the property and the way I'd want to feel on that property. So me thinking that out and still feeling that out, all still really good stuff. But for me, that vision was like this big. It was really good, but it was this big. And then when Espen led us on this meditation, and I allowed Source to take this piece that I'd put in and to expand it, and I saw these things unfolding like a movie, I realized that my vision was this big and there's nothing wrong with it. It was beautiful and wonderful and absolutely what I want. But Source's vision was so much bigger. I really felt like my, I just completely expanded so much more into the potential of the things that I really want and who I really am. And I would not have gotten there without daydreaming. And here's the thing, guys, like when we're doing this, oh yeah, Sergio says, I love the feeling of freedom. Oh my goodness. Absolutely. Me too. And this is like it is tapping into that freedom because when we're daydreaming, right? There's no limits. There's no one around to say you can do this or you can't do that or you're too old or you're too young or you don't have this or you don't have that. It's daydreaming. It is the place of ultimate freedom in your mind, in your emotions, to go places with source, with your God, with creator that we can't quite imagine, maybe quite here just yet. It gives us permission to expand, to feel out what we really want, who we really are, without the pressure of, but that's not here right now. And I love that so much because what we know about manifesting is that, again, it's about creating the feeling before the thing comes, being grateful for the thing as if it were here now. And when you can daydream, you create this safe place where you haven't really had to do anything other than dream and have fun and feel good. That's your investment, like there isn't a lot. And you just can give yourself permission to go there with source. And then I love to, I'm going to just read some of Jen's comments. You can daydream about whatever feels good to you. It doesn't have to be specific to what you're focused on. So you may want a new car, but you can daydream about walking along the beach. Yes, awesome. Yeah, and so this is I'll go here first in that. So one of the things that they talked about with daydreaming is that, and dreaming in general, is that sometimes when we really want something, we don't spend enough time daydreaming. We actually get excited about something, which is all good, but sometimes we take action too soon, right? The dream hasn't actually fully developed. The work that needs to happen in us, energetically, vibrationally, in our belief, in our knowingness that this thing is here. Sometimes we don't wait, basically, and the joke is like that. Basically, we're all pregnant with something, and we wait and try to deliver the baby too soon when it's not ready. And we all know, there's a time when the baby is ready, and that time is always, it's perfect. That is the time. That is what it takes for a baby to gestate. And so the same thing with our dreams is that our investment, our work, if you even want to call it work because it's so much fun, is to keep dreaming and allowing and letting those emotions to flow in, making sure, like Jen mentioned in another comment, using our emotional guidance system, that in those daydreams, we're in contentment or satisfaction and above, right? That we're just generating those beautiful, 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 feel good, positive, free flowing emotions. And that when we dream it enough, what will start to happen is that you will know when it's time to take action, because just like any ladies who've been pregnant out there, you'll know this. There's a time when you're like, I am so ready. I am so ready. I can feel it. It is time. That inspiration for your inspired action, it will be with you. You will, and Esther said that you basically won't be able to help but take action. Like it will, the desire to take action, this aligned action will build to the point where you just can't help it. Like you will be so compelled. And it really encouraged me on some of these things to really trust that inspired action, that feeling of being compelled, that feeling of I almost can't stop doing this, I just have to do it, does come. And it's worth waiting for, because your timing then is just so spot on, and you have all of these things that have been building up during your daydreams, all of these things that have come around, and they're all just right there and ready for you. And I feel really grateful, because before the event, I had like I had an experience with this, and this isn't meant to be an ad for my course, but I know part of the things I want to do is build online courses. That's in my vortex. It's something I've dreamed about, something I've daydreamed about, and like, oh yeah, wouldn't it be just so nice, and like, just to have all these courses available for people, and to spend more time at home with my kids, and then just get to be creative, making new content. Oh, that just feels so good to me. So I knew that I wanted to do a course for BestLife. It's the foundations of a bigger course that we run, and that I wanted to do it in an online platform, my first one. And so this was something that I just kept dreaming about and dreaming about and dreaming about, and not really knowing. Because the thing is, like, my schedule, if you looked practically at my schedule, the time to sit down and write out the course, video it, edit it, and then put it on the website, I had no idea how that was going to all come to play. But I just kept daydreaming about it and feeling like it's just felt like all these things were coming together, and I could feel, like, right here, it was very interesting. I could feel my course. I could feel it right here. And I'd look at my schedule and be like, I don't have the time, like, Source, how are we going to do this? Like, I feel like this is just ready to be birthed. It's ready to be created. It already was created, is the amazing thing. Out here, in my vortex, in my mind, it was created. I just had to take those next inspired practical steps. But I didn't see the how or the when. I just knew that it was ready and it was time. And just like when a baby comes, when the timing's right, the timing's right. And I had a couple openings in my schedule. I had a full day just to sit and write and video, and then parts of other little days. And it felt so good, and it felt so right. And it was just like a little taste for me of that feeling of dreaming it and waiting for that that feeling of, I have to do this. I got it. I will, like, Source will help me find a way. There was no push. There wasn't like, I have to do this. It was like, oh, I have to do this. Like, it's so time. It's ready. That it's cooked. The food is done. Time to take it out of the oven. And it was really a wonderful feeling. And so, with this too, hi, Marion. I want to say something else that's really important too, because you might have something really specific that you want. Like, I know there's like a country property that is just on my heart, and I can feel it. And I can go there so quickly now, where like I can smell the air, and like, I can feel the grass when I'm walking on some of the trails by the place. Like I have it very fully imagined. And because I've spent time there in my head, it's easy to go back into that daydream place. But I want this particular place, but I don't have to daydream about it all the time. There might be other things that are fun to daydream about. And Jen brought this up earlier in the comments. So, what is really cool is that God, source, universe knows all of these things that we want. It knows all of the things that we've put out there that would just bring us so much satisfaction and joy and contentment. And so it's not like we have to slot out time and, okay, I know that I want a new car, so I got to daydream now for a new car. Okay, and I want a new house, so now I got to daydream for a new house, and I want, more financial freedom, so I got to daydream for that. It's not like we have to slot out time and make sure that we spend time with all of these things that we want, because when we feel good, when we are putting those feel good energies and vibrations, satisfaction, contentment, exhilaration, excitement, all those things out, we get those things back into our experience. And the universe knows the things that we want and the things that will match those emotions. And we don't have to manage all of those things. The universe already knows and is working on our behalf to bring those things to us. But our job, again, our investment is to feel good. Our investment is to take some time to daydream, but you don't have to necessarily daydream about this specific thing just to get this specific thing. If you feel good, it helps activate all of the things that you want. And it's kind of like, I know now we're used to Amazon where we put an order in and it comes in the next day. But I remember when I used to order books and they would come when they came. The shipping was between like 5 and 14 days. I didn't know if I would get really lucky and the book would come in 3 days, or if it was going to come in 14 days. And the thing with the universe is the universe and the source knows when we can put like all of these orders out there. Like as soon as we ask for something, as soon as we realize we want something, the order for satisfying that is out there. But the universe knows how and when to deliver those things in the way that's most satisfying for us. Now, and we can trust that process. We can trust that the right things will come at the right time for us. Our job, again, is to stay in a place where we can be as positive and flowing and aligned as possible, so that those things can flow in, and they will flow in an order to us that's the most satisfying. The thing about the daydreaming is that this is something where you also can be like, oh, is there something that feels really good to daydream about? It might be completely not disconnected, it might be completely different than the thing that you're focusing on. It might not be the big dream. Like Jen said earlier, maybe you really want a car, but it feels good to daydream about walking on the beach, in the sun with your shoes off. That is still creating that emotion of satisfaction and feeling good and abundance, which will help bring that car in, because the universe already knows that you want a car. It already knows all the things that you want. So when you're daydreaming, daydream about what feels good to you in that moment, even if it's not part of your like goals and dreams and desires. It doesn't have to be so serious. It can be fun. It can be daydreaming about walking on the beach or being out on a boat or flying to the moon, whatever it is. And to also, like, if you're meditating and you feel like you're starting to receive a thought from source, that is daydreaming. You don't have to shut your mind down because I'm meditating. If you're starting to receive part of a daydream in your meditation, just go for it. Like, go with it, because that's the universe partnering with you in that meditation to expand your emotions and your feelings and your thoughts and your desires. The other thing too is if you're going throughout your day, and this is one thing that Abraham said Esther was doing more, is if you find something throughout the day that feels good and you can daydream about it for 20 seconds, 30 seconds, taking those little moments. Maybe it's, we've talked about this before on this Facebook Live, the moments between moments. Can you, when you're getting in your car, take a second if something feels good and daydream about it? Or when you're getting out of the car, can you you sit down here and there in your day and just take a deep breath, get into present time. And then if something comes up that feels good, to kind of daydream about, to let that daydream come. It doesn't have to be this mystic experience where you're on a mountaintop for hours and hours. These little 20 seconds, 10 seconds of connecting back into your feelings, of allowing those beautiful possibilities to flow in, letting your emotions rise, that changes the whole course of your day. And changing the course of your day changes your week, changes your month, and changes the years down the road. I mean, that's part of how this works. So find, daydream about what feels good to you at that time. I'm going to go and read some of the comments. Jen says, this is so powerful, Alee. Feel the beauty of the daydream and use our guidance system to keep the daydream pure and connected. Yeah, absolutely. So again, if you're starting to shift where that dream doesn't feel good anymore, just see if you can just kind of go around that thought and dream into something else, or just, shift back to feeling good. And if you can't, you can just leave that daydream as it is, oh, thank you, source, that was amazing, and just shift on to something else. Perpetuating feelings of dissatisfaction or unbelief, they're not going to help you. So when you notice those things, just, if you can't get around it, then just leave it, that daydream, where it is, and shift into something else that feels good. Let's see what else here. Jen says, inspired action is so delightful. Line up your feelings first and be guided to the action that feels so good. It's so true. Marianne, thanks for being here. I hope you have a great rest if you're still on. Oh, hi, Carissa. Thanks, Besnick. Hi, Terry. Okay, let's see where we're at here. Jen, this is so powerful. Feeling good aligns you with your inner being, who is always guiding you to the path of least resistance. Absolutely. To what you have already vibrationally created. Thanks, Carissa. Hi, Bridget. Oh my gosh. Love you guys so much. And actually, I just want to bring this up to you really quick. And then we'll be done. I know I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent from daydreaming, but not entirely. It's this idea of the path of least resistance. And this could be a whole other video in itself. But part of our weekend in Denver is that we went gold mining. We went to a gold mine, got a tour, and then got to go to the river and pan for gold with the little pans. It was super fun. It was amazing. And one of the things that kept coming up is that these sections in the ground where, so there's heavy metals still in our earth. There's still apparently a ton of gold, diamonds, and silver, but they're just very heavy. So they're down deeper in the earth's crust. And then as there's volcanic action or different things, those metals still get pushed in these crevices, basically in the path of least resistance. So beautiful. The gold comes up through the path of least resistance. So you think of our feel-good emotions and the things that we want in our life. There are patterns in nature where the things that are beautiful and delightful and loved come from the path of least resistance. There was pressure below, and up shoots this gold and silver and diamonds. How beautiful is that? The guide also said that reason that lightning looks the way it is and as beautiful as it is because there's this energetic charge, the lightning coming down, but there's different pressures in the air current. So lightning follows the path of least resistance. That's why we get all those beautiful, jagged, incredible things. Otherwise, lightning would just come straight down. There'd just be these straight lines in the sky, which would be kind of cool too, but I think probably most of us will agree that like those patterns that we find, that we see in the sky, are just like, they're so beautiful, they're breathtaking. And for us, a lot of times we are taught to push, to go against the grind. We're kind of taught the opposite of nature. Same thing in nature, water follows the path of least resistance. You know, we're taught a lot of times as humans that the more noble thing, the more right thing, is to find the path of most resistance, to go against the grind. And I mean, Abraham was laughing about this a lot too, how we sometimes want to do the hard thing because we get recognized for doing the hard thing, and we want that recognition and that validation. And I mean, I would tell you guys, I was that person. Like, give me the hard thing, I'm going to go do it. But I wasn't very happy. And a lot of the things that I wanted, I wasn't able to achieve through the path of choosing the most resistance. There's just so much more that has come into my life by choosing to flow and partner with the universe, and actually even letting the universe find the path of least resistance for me. And I'm kind of feeling like this. If you're someone who's felt like you've had to follow the path of most resistance, I would say, like, maybe start asking the universe about that, because we are really meant here to create and have amazing, beautiful, abundant lives, and to do it with joy and with inspired action. And I think we think that if we aren't pushing into that path of most resistance, that we don't get the reward, but it's the opposite. When we can partner with the universe and allow and daydream more, create the things in our minds and our hearts before they come, it's a very different way of thinking and being. Then, first of all, we don't care so much about the external rewards, the pats on the back from other people, because we're so caught up in the joy of being alive and the joy of creating that stuff just doesn't matter as much anymore. And so there's a real beauty, and there's almost like a place where it's okay. Like, I know it can feel really shameful sometimes to switch from the path of most resistance, like that, being that person, to someone who allows. But that's something I can tell you from personal experience. The universe can help you get there. You just have to ask. That's something where you can ask your source, your God, to help you with, to learn how to live from a place of dreaming and creating more and having more satisfaction, and knowing that that's never boring. It's never. And so, like, another thing over here is it feels like you get bored if there isn't like a push. It's not true. That's just our mind wanting to dig in, and be entertained versus being a creator, like, versus partnering with the universe for things that we can't even imagine how good they will feel until we kind of start flowing into that path. So that's a little bit of an aside, but it does come. Oh, I'm going to read Jen's comment first. Funnest example: dig a hole, hop in, and then what reward? What a reward, or to be. Oh, okay. So Jen's saying that kind of an example of this is, you dig a hole, like, it's really, you guys know it's hard to dig a hole, right? Like, you're digging a hole, you hop in, and then you get out, and you're like, okay, where's my reward? That is kind of how it is. If we're pushing, it's digging a hole, getting in the hole, getting out, like, all this striving and stress, and like then wanting to be recognized for that, when we dug the hole in the first place. And there was probably a faster, easier, more delightful way to do that without kind of needing that. So, and all of this, it really does tie back in with daydreaming, because our culture, probably most people's cultures, whoever you're on here from around the world, it's hard to think of daydreaming as a positive attribute. You know, that's something that you say, that's, oh, that person's a daydreamer, like they'll they'll never get anywhere because they're dreaming too much. Well, again, back from the beginning of this, it talked about like all of these incredible, I only know a few. I only know a few of the big name innovators, movers and shakers, people big in social justice. It was the power of their dream. It's the Oprah's power of her dream, Richard Branson's the power of his dream, Elon Musk's the power of his dream. I mean, that guy has big dreams for us. Um, Big dreams of what he wants to accomplish because they feel good to him and they affect all of us. Okay, so that's another point. You get to do the thing that feels good to you and your alignment with that dream. Like all of these people, Oprah, Elon Musk, even Martin, especially, I would say actually, like Martin Luther King Jr., Nelson Mandela, Gandhi, they had to choose to align with their dream no matter what anybody else said about it. And that is another massive thing here too. Guys, I'm going to be on here till the afternoon because I love talking about this stuff so much. And that's one of the things that Abraham said. There was a woman there who was who wanted to get into, she wanted to be an uplifter. That's the word that Abraham used. She wanted to help others. But then she was thinking about how her work would or wouldn't affect people, what they would think of her. And Abraham was like, okay, if you want to be an uplifter, your main job is to find your alignment and stay in your alignment no matter what anyone else says. Meaning that you do the thing that you do because it feels right and it feels good to you. And you can't look at the rest. You can't worry about the rest. You can't worry if what you're doing, what people think of it. You can't worry how it's affecting them, because then you start living conditionally. You start looking at other people for validation, right? It's again that thing with digging the hole. You start looking for validation other than that place of feeling very satisfied and content with yourself and source, feeling your alignment. And when we start living conditionally, meaning we're looking for outside things to validate or guide or help us along, we will lose track of the very thing that we're trying to do. So this whole thing with being a dreamer and dreaming your dream, it's your dream. It is your creation with source. You get to have that dream. You get to enjoy those dreams. It doesn't matter what anyone says. And I'd actually say a lot of times, like, I wouldn't share them. Don't share those dreams, because sometimes people, they just won't get it. They won't understand. I remember it was someone in Oprah's family. She got a job where she was making $22 an hour. And that guy was like, you hang on to that job because there's nowhere else you're going to make more money than that. Right? He didn't know her dream. And if she listened to outside sources, if she listened to outside validation and said, you know what, he's probably right. And I don't want to expand into my dream because scarcity and, this person in my family, they're probably right. I might not make more than $22 an hour in my life. I mean, we wouldn't have Oprah. She's, whether you like her or not, it's hard to argue that she hasn't had a pretty big impact on the world. So daydream more. Don't necessarily share those dreams until, like, if you're in that place where you're feeling that inspired action, like, yes, that might be a better time to share. Or if you're going to share, only share with people you really, really, really trust and have got your back, and there's not going to be competition or a lack of belief. Yeah, I'm going to see what Jen says. Yes, that all of our main job, our main area of focus, to keep ourselves in a good feeling space. Yes. It all comes back to this, guys. I mean, I know it's finding different ways to look at the same thing, which is feeling good, feeling as good as you can now, seeing if there's a way you can feel a little bit better. Jen says, always feel satisfied where you're at and eager for more, not dependent on it, just eager for it. Yeah, eager for more. Like, this feels so good. And oh my gosh, there's more coming. Isn't that wonderful? It's so amazing. So I think I'll probably leave it there for now. I've gone a little bit longer than I usually do. Thanks for hanging in there with me. So yeah, daydream, daydream more. Um, find moments throughout your day. And if you can't see where those moments will come from, because I know that feeling of like, where is this even going to come from? Just ask the universe to open up pockets of time for you to daydream. Or same thing if you're you feel like you don't have the time to meditate, just ask the universe to help you find that time, to open up that time for you. And then when you feel inspired, that's the next step. If you feel inspired to take a minute or two to meditate, to daydream, even just to take some deep breaths, follow that pull, follow that inspiration, because you've asked and the source is now answering. So, and if you miss it, it's okay. Just ask again and listen again. You can't get it wrong. You can't get it wrong and you'll never get it done, right? You can't get it wrong. So just ask and try. And if it's, doesn't feel good, then we just adjust. No big deal. There's nothing serious, nothing so serious going on here, right, guys? We just get to enjoy and move forward into the things that make us even more and more alive and even more and more who we are. So that is it for me today. Again, if you guys aren't getting on our workshops, we've got incredible workshops on Mondays and Wednesdays. You can go to our website, www.bestlifecreationsociety, for just to see when those workshops are running. If you like something a bit more interactive than this and you want to just chat more with like-minded people and be there with a couple of our incredible coaches, the workshops are fantastic, absolutely life-changing. And then every day we've got a Facebook Live like this, pretty much every day. If there's not a workshop, there's at least one Facebook Live. So stay connected with us. There's more information on our website as well about membership if you want to be involved in our daily classes and our mastermind, which is absolutely incredible. I could spend another couple hours here talking about the changes I've had from becoming a Best Life member. A lot to do with learning who I am and what feels good and the power of manifesting things from a feel-good place. It's incredible. Yeah, and if you guys are interested in my course, it's also on our website under classes. It is called Achieving Your Best Life Foundations. There will be the next pieces of that course coming up soon as well. So that is super exciting. And you can also reach me at my Facebook page, which is Inspired Advantage Coaching with Alee Attoe. Okay, love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. And we'll talk to you next week if I don't see you on the classes, a workshop, or another Facebook Live. Bye for now.